So I am Anita Gerber. I'm from Smithfield, Utah. I have 4 kids, and I graduated in elementary ed, and I taught in the public schools for 6 years, and then I quit I finished out the year that I had my oldest, and then I quit because I did want to be a stay-at-home mom. But I love being a teacher. I loved everything about it, and it was hard for me to quit, but I really wanted to be at home. So, and of course, like with all the challenges, like you stay home, and then you're like, oh, you need to pay for things. So I always was trying to find a way to make money. I did Pampered Chef. I did sewing projects on the side for a lady who owned some Etsy shop, and I always did something. Like I did VIP Kid. I don't know if you ever done that. That's online teaching for Chinese kids. And there was always something, right? And so, and of course I was trying to keep my teaching license current, and so I was taking classes, and I went to one class. And it was an early childhood class. It was actually, I was like piggybacking off of Bear River Head Start. They were like, yeah, you could come to this class and get university credit for it. And I was like, okay. So I went there, and then of course I'm sitting there and I'm just loving it. And because my kids were little at the time, and so I was like, I could use this for my kids. And then this little thought popped into my head, you should start a preschool. And at that time, my oldest was preschool age. So I was actually just taking him down to a lady down the road. And I sat there for a second, and I was like, I could start a preschool. I mean, I am a teacher, and so I kind of went home after that, and I said to my husband, I think I should start a preschool. And he was like, really? And so I just kind of sat on it for a couple of days, and we, at the time in our house, we had built a house, and we had the upstairs finished, but we had an unfinished basement, and so, but of course, like, I thought, well, I could try. So I went on the computer, and because I'm an elementary teacher, I'm not a business person, I was like, well, how in the world do you do all the things? Maybe there's somebody out there that knows how to do all the things. And so I typed, how do you start a preschool? And sure enough, and this was in like October of 2013. And so Joy's website popped up, and I clicked on it, and I watched her little video, and her whole story resonated with me, and I was like, oh, I could do this too. And so I ordered Preschool in a Box, and that's when it was really in a box and it came to me. And I did all the things. I set up all the things, and because it was October, I think I got it around November sometime. So I had some weeks, and I thought, I'm going to start it in January. So I went to the city, I tried to figure out all the things, and I got it set up, and then I put it out in the Facebook world. Hey, I'm starting a preschool, because if you put it out there, they believe it. And so I did, and sure enough, I got seven people that first, even in the middle of the year, and it was only by just putting it on Facebook. I didn't really do all the other things yet. And so after we started that going, I was like, it was just in my kitchen in my living room, and I thought, all right, this is going pretty good. I think I could do it, and so we decided to finish the basement. So that spring we finished the basement, and then I thought, okay, for the next year, I'll go down to there and I'll have 2 classes. So I opened a morning and an afternoon, just 2 days a week, because I still had little babies, and it was perfect. It was perfect for me. And so I did that, and I did it for years. And then came 2019, and that year was like so hard, and I had the hardest kids, and I didn't really know how to I should have let a child go is really what it would boil down to. But not because I don't love all children, but just because it was so hard. And so I came to the conference that Joy put on, and then I did sit there, and I was like, everything's amazing. I could do all of this, which now all of the things that, that I learned there is all in the dashboard. Does everybody get that, or do you have to pay for different things? Yeah. I didn't know. Anyway, but so I did it all, but then, you put things out, and you start thinking about things, you put things in the universe, and then things come back to you. So I went home. I wasn't ready to jump into anything, but I was like, okay, I'll do preschool next year, and I'll change up some things that I've learned, and it was the best year. And then my husband, he went for a run one day, and I was like, maybe we could think bigger. We could expand, and I could hire teachers, but right now it's in my basement, which is all connected to my house, and so that's weird, I feel like, to hire teachers. And so we were like, maybe we could buy a house or build a house that has like a basement apartment that's all separated, so the preschool could be down there. So we were looking into that, and then one day my husband went for a run and he took a picture of this building it's really only like three blocks over and 3 blocks up from my house, and it was an old daycare that they had run for years, but then they had gotten shut down by the state, actually. And so it had sat empty for about 7 years, and it was for sale by owner. And so my husband took a picture. He's like, hey, did you know this is for sale? And so I went and I called the number, and I was like, how much is it even? Is it? What are you selling it for? And he told me the price, and I was like, whoa, that sounds like a really good deal. That sounds like a really, really good deal. So anyway, long story short, I called my realtor friend. She's like, this is a really good deal. And so we bought the building, and that was in December. We closed in December of 2019. Isn't that such good timing? We closed in December of 2019. And then, and meanwhile, I actually, because I was now awesome friends with Joy, so I sent her a message on Facebook, and I took a picture of it, and I was like, I might buy this building, and if I do, can I join Inner Circle? And she was so great, and it was so good to have her, and so then we remodeled the preschool that spring. COVID shut everything down in March of 2020, and I was panicked because now we were still at my house, but we were going to move over in August of that 2020 year. And so luckily I had Joy. So I was able to figure out and pivot and do lots of things. And I'll be honest, that first year was rough. The whole idea of moving to the preschool was to expand and to have more students, and just because of COVID and just the way the world was, we did not expand. We were at half capacity, and but we survived that year. So we are happy to be full. So that year we started, so I have 2 different classrooms. We remodeled the base, or the first floor of the preschool into 2 classrooms there. And then I hired a couple teachers, and then so we started off with 4 classes. That's exactly what I was doing at my house, but luckily I did raise the price a little bit so I could pay the bills a little at the preschool building. And so, but then in the middle of the year, Joy was like, well, you should maybe try and fill another class. So I marketed and I opened up another class. And so we ended that year with 5 classes throughout the week. So I do a halftime program, so we have Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning classes, and then Tuesday, Thursday morning, and then the same afternoons, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or afternoons. And that works really well. We go for 2.5 hours. In my area, we have lots of stay-at-home moms, and so it's been really good. And so, but I've had to market, and so that's my story. And now I have lots of teachers. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So that year I went from 5 classes, and then the next year things got a little bit easier with COVID, and we marketed a lot, and we filled up those 8 classes. So we did go to full capacity at that end of that second year. And then last year, we were full for the next year, by April, and we have this upstairs of the preschool that I was like, well, it's like a dance studio, open space. We love to use it for recess in the winter, but I made a makeshift classroom, and so I opened up 2 more classes up there. So last year I had 10 classes of 12 students each, so we had 120 students come through. So it was really great. But again, lots and lots of work. But by last year, by the end of the year, I had 8 of us that were teaching either 1 or 2 classes here and there. And so it's super great. So now I want to get to the nitty-gritty of how I filled all of that, right? So, okay. So in Preschool in a Box, Joy, and I even logged on last night because I had to make sure it was still all there so she has a tab that's called Instant Preschool Marketing, and there's lots of different ideas in there in the Preschool in a Box section. And so these are the ones I wanted to share that I did that I felt worked really well for me in my situation. But there's lots of great ideas in there. So, and I have a little disclaimer too. So I guess that next year will be my 4th year in the building. So I did lots of things to market, but and I'll talk about that. But I honestly do not have to spend any money or time anymore to market because we are full so early just by, we have a waiting list, and we have a pre-registration list that I put on the website that if a parent wants me to call them, because I open up registration, and I know it's different for all the different areas, but in my area, people are like on it. In fact, sometimes when I'm getting messages in November, December for the next year, I'm always like, oh, let me get like through this year. And so that's why I put the pre-registration list on my website. It's just a Google form that they fill out, and it says, hey, are you planning ahead? Would you like Miss Anita to call you in January when she opens up her registration? Put your name here, and then she'll call you to schedule a tour. So that's kind of what I do. And so majority of my people I call and I have them come and tour and officially register by like February. So then I have months and months that, I mean, I can fill in a little bit the spaces here and there, but that has worked really, really well, just because we are so known now, we have a good reputation. So, okay, so the first thing when I first started, I think this is kind of a given now, back in the day it wasn't, but the first thing was to make sure that you had a great looking website and that it ranks when people search preschools near me. Now, of course, this is like local preschool, and I do know that of course you want a website for your online. That's like basically what you need. But and now it's super easy with the hub and it's just all included. So, but let me see. Sorry, let me look at my notes here. Oh yeah, and I really like it because you can edit so many things on Canva now, and it just makes having things so easy and accessible on the website, and with the next thing I'm going to talk about. So Canva is super great. So the second thing, so number one is the website. Number two was flyers, and flyers really did work for me. So Joy's strategy of like, if you want like 1%, then, so the year that I opened that class in the middle of the year, we printed off 1,000 flyers, and then I just went on Facebook and I said, hey, local friends, I need some teenagers who want to make some money. And so I paid them to go and deliver the flyers. And I did get somebody who ever said like the non-soliciting thing, I have this fine line of, do you leave a flyer, do you not leave a flyer? Because we're not really knocking, you know? And I have had angry phone calls before, and I can always say, oh, I'm so sorry, I hired teenagers to do that. I will make note to tell them not to do that, right? So you can just blame it on them. And of course they just throw it away, right? So, and then, so I remember though that January year that I was trying to fill, I did do the 1,000 flyers, but they did not. I think I got 7 phone calls, and I was like, Joy, I didn't fill it, like I didn't get the 10, the 1% is not right. And she's like, make more flyers, pass out more flyers. And I was like, okay. And so I did, and I was able to fill that class. I just needed to work a little bit more, but it was totally worth it to be able to bring in another full class. I was already paying that teacher, so I needed to make sure I filled that class. So, oh yeah, sure.
So when you're passing out the flyers, how much of a radius?
So, I would say, so my little, I should say little, but my city is only about like 5 square miles. So I just did it around where I live. But I'll talk about the next thing that targets further out. But yeah, so I did flyers, and those worked great. The next thing was social media, having a social media presence and being on Facebook. So I did join a lot of different, like I'm in a local, like it's called Cache Valley Moms, and so like when people ask certain questions, or like, and they even ask like, you know, I always would chime in if they asked questions about like, how do you know if my child is doing this? And like if it's anything related to the age group, like 3 to 5, and I chime in, you know, or like people will be like, hey, what preschools are around, or what preschools have openings, then I would chime in. Now that was a few years ago. Now I get on there and I just look, and like when people say, what are good preschools around? What preschools would you recommend? I just kind of sit back and I read through the comments waiting, and they are always there. The Learning Turtle Preschool, and I'm like, oh, that's so great. I love that post, you know? And so it's super great, super good. I don't often have to do much now because the people, my family sell it for me, you know. And so I've also done Facebook ads, and this you can set your geographical area out further. And so we have our little town, and then we have, you know, towns that are next to us. And so I'll set the perimeters out that far. And let's see. Oh, and you want to make sure that your target audience are groups of people that would come and register. So like moms with young children, or soccer moms, or, you know, just different things. And then of course we have some great information with help with what kind of ads, like what you should say in your ad, or what you should have all on the dashboard in the preschool in a box stuff. So okay, the other thing that I did was referral. I do have a referral program. And so, like, I offer referral rewards to families for a credit. Like, I'll give them a credit if they refer somebody and they sign up for my classes. And so, so that word of mouth has just taken off. So many people sign up just because of they're like, oh, this is so great, I love this. And so, and I think the key is, because I also learned that you need to create a preschool that is amazing, right? And so I do all these extra things. So like when every year I do a fall carnival, and I say, this is for free for our preschool families. It's this day, you come back, we have face painting, we have animal balloons, we have carnival games, we have a big bouncy obstacle course house thing, and the whole family can come. And so you just do awesome over-the-top things, and you say, it's free, bring older brothers and sisters, you know, and they just love it. Or we do like a really cute Christmas party program thing where I have the kids sing like 3 songs. That's all it is. But then I have Santa come, and they can go take pictures with Santa and have a great time. And the parents eat it up, and they love it, and the kids love it. Although some kids are really scared of Santa. But but like, and we just do over the top things. We do free field trips, you know, so that we just have this really awesome reputation that people are like, oh. In fact, I've done lots of tours, you know, and this one mom came in, and I was showing her all around, and I was giving her the spiel, and I was like, yeah. And then she said to me at the very end, she's like, okay, I understand what the hype is about the Learning Turtle Preschool. We'll sign up. Like, okay, well, good. Here's the form. you know. So, yeah. So more than anything, I would say that to market and to fill your preschool, it's all about you, and like, and I'm the same, and I can't say that I'm perfect, you guys. I really am not perfect, but because we're always learning and growing and trying to improve ourselves. But like I said, when Joy came and she was like, well, do more flyers, I was like, oh, I don't want to do more flyers. You just have to overcome the feelings that you feel, right? Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah, Rosie. Yeah.
To the part where you said the flyers, how you put the flyers out for the teenagers to sign up to actually distribute.
Yeah. Okay, so when you go to a copy center and you say, I want 1,000 flyers, and and Joy has the template for the flyers for you. So you just change your local information of what you need, and then I had them triple fold it, so it is all done for me. I don't have to do anything. And then the teenagers will just go and put them in the doors.
Yeah,
So.
but you say, what about the part how you get the teenagers?
Oh, I went on Facebook and I said, hey, local friends, I need some teenagers. Does anybody have any teenagers that want to earn a little bit of money? I have flyers that need to be delivered. And so then I got the teenagers, and I was like, you'll make $10 an hour. I mean, a lot of kids don't think. In fact, they do it the first time and they're like, never again, I'm not going to do that. And so you just find new teenagers, it's totally fine. And so then I gave them, like, I print off a Google map, and I'd say, okay, this is your area, these are your flyers, pass them out. This should take you about an hour.
Is that on your business Facebook page, or is that just on
No,
your
my own personal
your
one.
personal?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so you just kind of,
yeah. Just to my local friends,
it's
you know.
just the people that's
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
Have children or whatever of that age.
Yep.
How do you know the teenagers are actually delivering this?
Okay, so that's a really good question. So you want to find teenagers that you feel are like trustworthy. But one time I did go around and I drove around just to double check, and then I said, come right back after and I'll give you the money. I had the cash and I just gave it to them, And so I did double check just to see if they were on the doors, and they were, so yeah. Yes. No, that's too many. Yeah.
She was voice.
No.
Yeah.
I was thinking too much about it.
No. Yeah. They just took care of it. Yeah. They just took care of it. I didn't worry about that. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Molly.
How much did you spend on Facebook ads? And were they productive?
So for me, my flyers were a lot more successful than my Facebook ads. But I think Rita's going to talk about Facebook ads. Yes, Leslie. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, that's something I wanted to talk. So, yeah, so if I'm not full in a class and I feel like I need it, so I'll wait until the first Monday of August. And then that is when parents are starting to be like, oh, it's August, the school's gonna start, I gotta get on it. And so then you have it's really good timing. Summer's almost done, so that's a really good time for me. And then same with January, I started the class in January. The first Monday in January, we just hit it hard and delivered lots of flyers. So, and I learned that from Joy. Any other questions?
Does your school year start in August or September?
Yeah, so our school year does start in August. So we usually start the second or third week of August. So, yeah. Yes.
People that are asking pertaining to flyers, it depends on your niche, because if you're online, I found that flyers didn't work as well. So unfortunately, it works better to do, if you're online and market online, because I gave out tons of flyers and I gave out business cards, it doesn't work as well. So it depends on what your niche is. If you're online,
Very interesting.
it's more, it works better with online. So just.
Okay, Joy.
I'm gonna challenge that. Yes, I would love to have a conversation about the experience, because let's not call that
I'm
gospel.
not saying it's definite, I'm just saying
Yes.
it's,
And so I would love to see the flyer, would love to analyze how many flyers are now.
flyers.
Yes, all these things. My point is, let's not say that it doesn't work as well, because I definitely believe, Jelly?
It worked for me, my
It worked for me. So the point is, sometimes it does work, but we gotta clarify the variables. I know, we gotta clarify the variables, so don't think it doesn't work for online, let's just keep talking about it. Okay.
Well, and if it's an only one-time
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
Can someone explain to me subdivision? So like, I live in Fort Lauderdale, and the neighborhood that I live in is not necessarily the neighborhood that can afford my Montessori program. And Joy does talk about subdivision, and I did finally Google subdivision to see what the heck it is. And it kind of looks like it is like brand new houses, and all of these houses, and then I like flood that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So am I also flooding like older neighborhoods that I know would have the money?
Well, yeah, you probably need to Google where the needs of where clientele is. And so you're looking for certain clientele that's gonna be able to assist that. So yes, those are some, like, your neighborhood you live in is subdivision, basically.
Yeah, so it's a group of roads together, subdivision. It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you go to the USPS website and act like you're going to do the flyers or what, I don't know what you call it, like the mail direct, yeah, the EDD. They show like the demographics and what they make.
oh, well,
Only because I was gonna do flyers before, but I
So
didn't.
USPS, if you're gonna do the
EDD, the every door
EDDM.
direct.
And do I still stay away from apartments? Joy?
So I actually did deliver at townhouses.
Okay.
And I do have, it's surprising to me how many townhouse people I do have come to my program. So it really just depends on where they're living at the time.
It's
Yeah.
the Every Door Direct EDD.
EDDM.
So Anita, you do 8:30 to 11.
I do 9 to 11:30, 12 to 2:30. Well, I have a 9 o'clock, a 9:10, 9:20.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then 12 to what?
12, 12:10, 12:20, and then we get out at 2:30, 2:40, 2:50. Because I stagger those, so it's not so congested at pickup time. Yes? I mean, I haven't had a concern about that, truthfully. So it depends on, I mean, if you're going to neighborhoods that have families and little children, at least in my area, it's usually pretty okay. If they come to a house that looks shady, I say don't go there, you know, so.
All right, last question, was there, right here.
Yeah, Molly.
More of a comment, but I'm wondering if on the flyers, because I was also thinking the same about how do you make, if they're really all being given out. But I'm wondering if you could do like a referral code on there per se, so that the kids, like maybe you're paying them $10 to distribute them, but if the person brings in their flyer, you would give them a little extra cash. Because I would also want to encourage them, you want to maybe pick houses that you see a sweet set in the back and not a 100-year-old car.
So I am the one who said, go to this neighborhood. So I didn't have them choose and pick and choose, but yeah,
But they still may know somebody.
maybe, yeah.
To even get them out is good so that they're really all put out and you can go to like 10 houses and then you just toss them.
Most teenagers are pretty good.
You might be
Yeah.
able to save a little on because it's hard to know for sure hour, 2 hour, so you have a set amount for the job.
So basically, yeah, I said, deliver this, you'll get $10. I think it will take about an hour, and then they would come back when they were done. So,
How many did you give them for about an hour? Like what?
so some neighborhoods the houses are a little bit further apart. So I tried to calculate okay, how much would this be? Because I feel like you'd have to walk further, and so I tried to give less to those ones versus more that houses are closer together. So yeah. Yep. And I have to say one last thing with the flyers. Sometimes you'll pass out flyers and you don't get a good response. But I sent out flyers in January that one year, and then when I opened up registration, in March, I had people call me March, April, and she was like, "Oh, I got a flyer back in January." And so you just get your name out there, really. So it really works. So thanks.